2014. Come to find out, there were no real dollars allocated to it, right? The thinking behind that, when Rodney laughs, is Rodney actually serves on the board of our Rutgers here in Newark. But there were no real dollars allocated to the initiative. It was, you know what, we have a concept, each city needs to figure it out, look at your local resources and make it work essentially. So here in Newark, October 2014 came around, the mayor says, you know what, this is an initiative, we have a strong minority city here in Newark, we need to be a part of this thing. So at the time, he brought a friend of mine, David Jefferson, who was the youth pastor over at Metropolitan Baptist Church. It's kind of spearheaded. David brought me on and said, look, I know your background in politics, you were the congressman, you did some of this work already. Come to the table and see if we can make this work. Circumstances being what they are, David had to remove himself from the situation, and I was just kind of like, wow, there's so much work to be done, kind of where do we start? So we had a series of events that took place between, I want to say January, which was our launch at audible.com right here, and today. So we had a mapping session at Rutgers and did a policy review at Rutgers, trying to really nail down who the key players were, who was actively engaged in this space, and then what we need to focus on as a city. So as anybody, I'm sure you guys have heard of NCLC. Anybody? North City Learning Collaborative? No, right here, housed at the Cornwall Center at Rutgers. And their push is really making sure that the population of North, 25% of the population has some type of post-secondary attainment by the year 2025. So Newark has a lot of these type of networks in the city around different spaces. So you have NCLC, you have the Safer Newark Council, you have the Youth Policy Board, you have the Newark Arts Council, all these different great organizations made up of many organizations around the city that do great work. So we need to start focusing with MBK, like, how do we have these conversations in these specific sector, like, based spaces about young men of color? So that's the role MBK plays. So when we're talking about NCLC, how do we make sure that we're actually reaching young men that look like you and me with the work that they do? They had a summer institute last year. 25% of the participants were males, 75% were women, right? So how do we increase that number to make it more of like an equal type of program? So that's the kind of work that we do. The mayor, being who he is, an educator for like the past 20 years here in the city, he understands that there's an immediate need for young people to be serviced right now, right? So when we go to the different high schools, those kids need something to do after school, right? Because if they're not doing something in the school, or if they're not going to a program, the likelihood of them participating in like risky behavior is way higher. And then that's when we see the things that pop up on the news and when they talk about Newark all the time, right? So we need to be starting to talk about positive things that these young people are doing. So he came up with this idea that we create these My Brother Keeper chapters. Over the summer, Rodney worked with actually some of our young men through summer youth employment. Started learning about what murals actually are. I'm assuming a class almost similar to this in some respects,
It's the same
right?
thing. Steve is the teacher.
Okay. So,
He's
yeah.
the muralist, rather.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Went down to Philly. It just kind of opened the world up to these young people. Said there's more than just what's happening right here in Newark. And it got deep, right? Because it was an opportunity for young people to start to externalize their internal emotions. You know what I mean? So men within minority communities aren't often told that we can say how we feel, right? We can articulate what's going on in our head and get that out. Art became that vehicle, right? So the mayor says we have these different programs that are happening. Let's start funneling young people and start servicing them immediately. We're highly unique in that regard because no other city around the country is actually doing direct service programming for this population that we're talking about. So like that's one thing that puts us out. We stand out a little bit more than a lot of the other cities. Got an awesome email to share this with you now that Newark is actually one of the star cities they're calling with MBK through the work that we have done. There's an MBK Alliance that's been created over in New York City. They're the nonprofit arm. When it was announced through the White House, there was no money attached, like I said. And the thought behind that was if the president leaves and there's, say, $200 million allocated for MBK, that money's just gonna get cut and it'll go somewhere else and it won't get to the young people that we want to help. So the Alliance was formed. It's a nonprofit, works over the city. They're in the process of getting everything together, hiring staff, creating the infrastructure. And they'll actually be the arm that comes into different cities and helps facilitate some of this programming for young people. And the thinking is that once the president leaves office, he will become the chairperson of the My Brother's Keeper Alliance and kind of champion this effort for years to come. So there's a ton of stuff that is happening right now. Again, we're working with Ronnie, some of the arts projects that we're trying to get off the ground in some of the schools. We've got a 50-person cohort at Shabazz High School that meets every other week. Group mentoring opportunities, peer-to-peer mentoring opportunities, just to kind of build camaraderie and a sense of community that's kind of been lacking here in Newark for our young men. So I'm definitely open to take any questions. I know that was like a really quick overview about what's happening. I would love to know like what's going on with the mural, like how are you guys looking at that? I know there's an MBK focus with it, but are we in tune with what the young people in our community really want to see with this mural, right? Because they're the ones that are gonna get up every day, walk out of their house, and have to take the bus by the mural. And if it's an MBK mural, we want to make sure that it resonates with the young people so they're inspired by it as well, right? So has there been thought yet as to what the mural looks like? I don't know if we got to that point in the class, but
Not yet.
Not
Just
yet?
like-
Okay.
You know,
So
we got ideas.
I'm sure
We
you
know
know
what's
some
going
ideas.
Well, we know what, you talked about the 6 milestones.
Right.
Well, we talked about a lot of stuff that's happening in the city
Mhm.
and where young people's heads might be and what people know about young men of color.
Right.
And what that perception is in this country, what the perception is in Newark, and what some of the realities are. Like I said, we have some young men coming in today.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've toured the South Ward.
Okay.
Went to
We've
the site.
We've gone to the site.
Okay.
We've talked about race a little bit.
So let me ask this, what do you guys hope to achieve? I just don't like talking
Okay.
to people, like having conversations.
Yes.
So what do you guys hope to achieve with this mural? Like, what do you guys see the impact being? Anybody?
I'm saying, definitely positivity, because I didn't know exactly where that area was until we actually went there.
Mhm.
I know that area for the most part pretty well. So I mean, I think the fact that it's on that block, in that area, will bring, I don't know, new light to that side of Newark, or more light, I guess.
Gosh, you know, like that, more light, right?
Yeah.
Because there's already light there, right? We need projects like this to kind of magnify that light and bring positive attention to those spaces. Anybody else?
You're building confidence and motivating them, like to dream again. That there's just possibilities out there. Just gotta go get it.
Motivated to dream again. Okay, anybody?
When we went on that tour
Mhm.
of the South Ward, we were on the bus, and I saw like 7 or 8 other murals that were, amazing.
Right.
Some of them are really, it's amazing how people create something like that.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can just add to that,
Right.
Make something that's worthy of being in there with all the other pieces of art that are already in there.
Yeah, there are, and this is right there on,
We're at Chadwick and Hawthorne, so.
oh, you guys are right
In
there.
an abandoned lot. So
Awesome.
we're doing a lot. It already has a stage in it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna do some bricks that are gonna be painted as well. It's
Okay.
gonna be great.
So it's gonna.
May 11th,
That
he'll
whole
be there.
neighborhood's gonna look like that neighborhood we saw in Detroit?
It's gonna look better.
Better?
That's
Amazing.
right, better.
Amazing. All right. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Well, I don't have a question, but about the murals, I believe the reassurance to the young people that somebody cares, that somebody is there for them. While we're doing this, I think that's one of the most important parts of it, the reassurance that somebody is there for them, and through this mural, it's gonna show.
So to that end, right, if any of you would like to meet some more young people, right, just to have that experience. I mean, we got folks in here could be mentors, right? To extend yourselves a bit more than just the mural project, because our young people need connections, right? That's really what it's about. They need to understand that there's folks like everyone in this room that understand that there are challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis, and they have a support system. And I mean, growing up, I had a support system, right? I made a lot of crazy, stupid decisions when I was a young person. I mean, I'm 29, so I'm still relatively young, right? But I had a support system around me that, there was somebody that I can lean on, there was somebody I could call just for advice and talk through different decisions that I made in my life. So I definitely welcome that opportunity. If anybody wants to get involved in any type of mentoring, we can definitely make that option available as well.
Yeah. Where did you leave St. Philip's?
I left St. Philip's in 4th grade. So that was, what was I? 94?
Did you go to the red building or the other one?
Nah, it was still the red building.
Oh, because I went there, but this is after the red building.
Oh, yeah, you had it good, brother. Yeah, we were in a little schoolhouse on 3 floors, had science in the basement, like 1 bathroom, everybody had to run up and down the stairs.
Taking it way back.
Yeah,
Oh,
way
was that
back.
the one where it used to be a bank?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, cool.
So, can you explain a little bit, though, about St. Philip's and the Newark Boys Chorus, you know, as opposed to, per se, public school?
I had.
In Newark, there's a difference.
Absolutely. So back then, St. Philip's was a faith-based school. It was a part of the Episcopal Diocese of Newark. And I actually went to St. Philip's Cathedral, which was attached to the school. So there was a faith-based grounding there. And everybody I'd say that went to that school had the supports that I was talking about, right?
Mhm.
And I think I was extremely lucky to come up in that type of environment. But I was just in Shabazz High School today, and they don't have the supports that I had growing up. And I think that is a challenge that we as a community need to face. And then going to Newark Boys Chorus, they exposed me to so much, actually, literally, of the world that I started to see things as possibilities that I didn't see before. I was able to travel to Barbados and Jamaica, singing all over the world, right? Travel to South Africa, travel to London. And if I hadn't had that experience, I don't know if I would have been able to dream. I don't know if I'd have been able to imagine the possibilities for my own life, right? And so with the mural, I mean, I think it would be awesome if, when I look at the mural, if I'm taking another place, right? Because it's about exposure and opportunity. And within our community right now, I mean, on all aspects, from adults to children, opportunities are really what's lacking.
Mhm.